You hand the form back unsigned, a simple withdrawal slip at a registrar's window with fluorescent lighting. You're 19, and you slide the paper across the counter, locking in a decision that everyone who loves you has already determined is a mistake. When you drop out, you lose the permission structure. You abandon the societal script that was supposed to dictate exactly what you should do next and next and next. Suddenly, there is a vacuum. Without a syllabus, the next 9 years of your life become the process of building your own path forward. You build it out of absolute necessity. Drifting back into a traditional system that wasn't working for you anyway carries a higher long-term cost than any college tuition ever could. The initial fall feels purely administrative. You take a job at a coffee shop, making $14.50 an hour, because rent does not care about your ambitions. You enter the labor market as an unprotected variable. This chart shows the stark reality of the economic floor. A worker with no degree sits at roughly $46,700 a year in median earnings. The median for a bachelor's degree jumps to over $77,600. Your family knows this gap exists. You hear it at Thanksgiving or in the long, uncomfortable pauses on phone calls. The subtext is always that you'd be making more if you had just stayed the course. The economic system you've entered works to keep you at exactly this level. It is built on a structural indifference that feels colder than actual malice. Escaping this statistical trap requires choosing which hard you want to tackle. You have to abandon the idea of simply working more hours for an employer. The first 18 months are trial and error. You start a dropshipping store that makes $217 before getting undercut. You launch a freelance social media service, charge too little, and deal with massive scope creep until you shut it down. You start looking for evidence that the rules you opted out of were always optional. Michael Dell left the University of Texas at 19 with a dorm room full of parts. You aren't looking for a template to copy. You are looking for psychological proof that the standard script is just one option. Then you start editing videos for local businesses. By month 14, you do the invoice math in a grocery store parking lot and realize you've hit $5,200. It's the proof of concept required to keep going. Here is the exact mechanism of leverage. You bill a client $275 for a video. You pay a subcontractor $40 to handle the motion graphics. You keep the gap between what you produce and what you pay to produce it. That specific margin is where freelancing ends. You have built a system that runs without you, an actual business. Wealth generation begins the exact moment you stop putting your personal hours on the open market. By 23, you hit a plateau. Revenue is between $18,000 and $22,000 a month, but the competence plateau is dangerous, largely because things are going well enough to make you stop moving. If you model it out, service businesses naturally flatline. Scaling them up demands either an unsustainable spike in your own hours or a massive increase in overhead costs. You force the system to change. You stop selling hourly editing and start selling productized outcomes. A fixed-price, 90-day video content system for direct-to-consumer brands. 3 brands say yes to the new package, and in a single quarter, monthly revenue crosses $31,000. You haven't added new contractors or worked more hours. You just restructured the offer. Selling outcomes scales infinitely. Selling your time creates a rigid ceiling that masquerades as a floor. At 25, you negotiate the sale of your agency. You wire the signed contract back, and 11 days later, the first tranches of a $410,000 acquisition hit your account. The wire transfer provides a vocabulary lesson in what equity actually does, demonstrating how a single deal can represent years of accumulated labor. You take that capital and put it into diversified index funds. You understand that you aren't statistically likely to beat the market, so you step back and let compounding do the work. Then you launch a larger scale company in the creator economy, architecting growth systems for influencers. In 8 months, monthly revenue reaches $40,000. This attracts a venture fund, leading to a Series A raise that values your equity at over $1 million. Liquidating a business is simply the mechanism used to acquire the raw capital necessary to build even larger systems of leverage. By 28, your net worth is $3 million. $1.4 million in equity, $780,000 in brokerage, $190,000 in condo equity, and $340,000 cash. A 4% withdrawal rate yields $72,000 a year, It's comfortable, but not absolute freedom. The raw dollar amount represents the durability of the system you've built. The machine now produces returns whether you are actively managing it or not. Real security comes from knowing your wealth-generating system works and that it is unbreakable. The true cost of the unscripted path manifests as a psychological distance between you and your former life, an unbridgeable gap created by the requirements of the building process. You missed a friend's wedding because you were in a deal meeting. A relationship ended because you were running profit and loss scenarios in your head over dinner. These are the tangible losses of the build phase. You face the isolation of trying to explain your life to peers who are still running the standard script. You can't compress what you've built into small talk at a birthday party. Alongside those deep social costs comes uncompromising control. You can book a flight on a Tuesday just because you want to be somewhere else. The machine keeps running without you. Extreme leverage requires a trade. You give up the easy belonging of your peers in exchange for total autonomy over your own time. Only you can decide if the trade was worth it.